gotta be kidding me. You're gonna risk the entire mission for a mental defective dressed as a court jester.
It's coming from a guy that wears a toilet seat on his head.
We don't leave one of our own behind.
Hopefully Harley's still alive.
No funny business, Colonel. These are dangerous people.
Team 2 is clear to go.
Fire. 3, 2.
What are you guys doing?
What?
We're here to save you.
You were gonna save me?
It was a really good plan, too.
Well, I can go back inside and you can still do it.
That's patronizing.
I'm so sorry. Harley Quinn.
Bloodsport.
When I saw that you were billed as TDK, I was pretty sure, knowing what James Gunn does with his movies and with your relationship with him, that this is a way of making you Batman canonically, the Dark Knight. Obviously,
yes, clearly.
Obviously, that did not quite happen, but I think I'd like to pretend that it did, and that somewhere there's a whole other universe where that happened.
I am the Knight.
See? I mean, most people most people in DC animation will know that you've done Hal Jordan a bunch of times.
Yes. And if you go back further than that, you'll know I was actually a vigilante once. The cowboy one, not the other one.
That's right. And currently you're also doing Wonder Man in the other universe.
You're right.
Just saw that. I don't do a lot of the DC press conferences, but I was at the one that just happened a couple of hours ago. And I don't know that I've seen a project from this particular studio franchise project. I don't think I've seen people having this much fun talking about a movie. It just feels like it was a good place to work and that people weren't terribly worried about its position in the rest of the flow, or it's just a self-contained entertainment that just happens to have explicit violence and extremely messy deaths. And a whole bunch of funny people doing sort of serious things here and there, which I always admire.
I'm glad that's what's happening. I'm glad, because that's how I'm watching it. This is so how I want to spend a Sunday afternoon. These kinds of movies are right up my alley. These are my joy.
Yeah. So without discussing the character too much, was there any prep required? Was there any, does the costume sell it for you, or how do you get into character?
The costume is so much. I mean, the costumes are almost characters on their own. I always would watch, the making of something, and people talk about how when they put on their costume, that's when the character really came. And I think that's so shishi-foo-foo and goofy. But oh my God, it's so true. I would put on this outfit, and as each layer comes on, it gets more and more complex, and these pieces, and I love Halloween. I love the idea I love making my own costumes, and the attention to detail that these teams of people had, the short amount of time they had to complete these costumes. I can't imagine the stress, but now here I am, head to toe, a comic book character. The little 11-year-old inside me is screaming, finally. That's the dream. And I haven't even hit the set yet to see everybody else's costume and to see everybody else look incredible. It's amazing.
The thing that Gunn does is this sort of, like how Alfred Hitchcock used to move his cameos up earlier and earlier in the film, so people would stop looking for him and he wouldn't be distracting the audience with his absence. So Gunn has this repertory company. They're all with it. We see everybody, you and Rooker and AG and, Sean Gunn under CG. But everybody's in the first 5 minutes, which I thought was actually a pretty good, efficient way of doing it.
Well, James Gunn clearly has people he enjoys working with, and I'm never going to argue him that. There is something really wonderful about being able to go to work with people who what to expect as far as what you can rely on. As far as their talent and what are they going to be like, how do they deal with adversity, and are you going to have a good time? It's 2 hours up on screen, but it's a lot longer. The day-to-day of making a movie, it's an undertaking, it's a sacrifice, it's a lot of hard work. But James Gunn is the kind of guy who clearly enjoys his job and makes it really enjoyable. I mean, I'll never say no to James Gunn.
Yeah, I remember when Super played Tiff, and again, it's the sort of thing where it's like, oh, of course, he's gathered the people that he knows can deliver his tone. Like there's a really specific thing that he does that I don't think anyone else is doing anymore at this level of. It's a self-awareness, but it's also a friendliness and a sense that we're all in on the joke of whatever it is, even when things get really serious. And the Suicide Squad sets that up very, very quickly, and you are a part of that. Like, you have to do the lifting for that sequence.
You know what's nice too? I agree. First of all, 100%. I agree with what you said. People have come to know this about it. James, what I also really like is that they've come to trust James. We now collectively know that a project in this man's hands is going to be handled well. It's pay attention to detail. It's going to honor it, and it's going to have heart. He's going to manage to make us connect. He did it with Guardians of the Galaxy, this kind of grand space soap opera. He somehow grounded it in our psyche with just some simple themes and an incredible soundtrack. Brilliant. Just now, I just love seeing that more and more people are trusting him.
We love the rain. It's like angels are splooching all over us.